Have you ever driven on the roads and you missed or ignored a warning sign? Some traffic, sign that was up and out. Let me tell you a story. Years ago, and probably maybe 10 years ago or so, I was away at a conference and I had flown in Westchester Airport, okay? So if you've never, and the time at which, I try to get home at night because I like to sleep in my own bed. I don't care what time it is at night instead of staying over another day. But I got in that night, and so my plane landed after midnight, okay? So by the time I got my bag and got to my car, it's about 1:30 in the morning. And so I'm heading out to drive home, okay? And if you've ever been out, down that part of the Merritt Parkway, okay, the entrance ramp and the exit ramp can be, right next to each other almost. Well, the next thing you know, I turn, and I look up, and I see this sign saying, "Wrong way." And I realized, oh my God, I thought this was the entrance ramp. This is the exit ramp. And I'm grateful that it was at 1:30 in the morning, that someone wasn't blaring off that exit, because it would have been a head-on collision, right? Have you ever been driving and you've seen or ignored because why? Warning signs are there to protect you, right? Because ignoring them can be hazardous to your life. Now, when you got your driver's license, we all had to go through driver's ed, did we not? And we had to learn them. So do you mind? Because today we're talking about something that's important. And hear the Spirit of God, because some of you in relationships, you're entering a situation where you should be exiting. I think the Spirit is saying something today that you need to grab a hold of. But let's examine some of the signs that we had to learn in driver's ed. First one, let's go to that one. You know what this one is? Stop in the name of love before you break my heart. Think it over, right? Some of you, you're in relationships and you need to stop because right now it's not going anywhere. That's good. All right? We all know that one, right? Stop. Okay. How about this one? This is one I need to learn a little bit more, okay? I will confess my sin. We are in church, all right? How about this one? You know what this one is? Right? That's a crosswalk, right? It's a pedestrian crossing. I think in our culture today, we pay more attention to deer crossing than we do pedestrian crossings, right? But some of you, you're crossing into a situation that's dangerous. But here, look at this one. Look at this one. Some of the relationships some of you are involved in, this is the sign that's out. This is a dead end. It's not heading anywhere. But how about this one? I think this is where some of you have ignored is what? Where you're heading, man, there ain't no ground. You're heading to fall off somewhere. The bridge is out. You need to turn around. Get off the highway, okay? So guess what? When we look at these, we understand that. So welcome today, guys, because here's the title of today's message. 5 warning signs you're dating the wrong person. Welcome to the series that we've been in called First Comes Love, what? Then comes baggage, right? A straight talk about relationships, marriage, and dating. And sex. Yes, we're talking about sex in church, okay? It's straight talk about it. Why? Today, we're going to be talking about something that's so critical, that's so important, because like warning signs on the highway, there are warning signs that we often ignore. We often overlook. We often make excuses for me. But listen to me. Statistically speaking, most of the people in this room will get married. And at the same time, statistically speaking, many of them won't make it. And statistically speaking, when those that did not make it often discover that there were warning signs that they ignored or didn't listen to. And that's why this is so critical. That's why this is so important. Because again, if you ignore warning signs while driving, it could be hazardous to your health. And why too often our hearts are broken because we haven't heard or been willing to look at the red flags, the warning signs that have come up. See, we want to be in love. We want the feelings. Oh man, they make me feel so good. My heart flutters. I get tingly all over. We want to be in love, but when we see things that are not right, when we have a check, what do we do about it? And that's where the battle becomes between our head and our heart. Your head will see something and you're like, wait a minute. They are still living at home and they're in their 30s. Wait a minute. They haven't had a job that they have kept for over a year. Ding, 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 ding. Whoa. But the heart says, but we're in love. We'll live on love. It'll all just work out. And that's what I want you to understand, that there are warning signs. Because why? These red flags are what God uses, because people often say, why did God allow that to happen? Well, let me tell you this. God has given all of us a free will. Why does God allow things to happen? Because you chose them. God has been speaking all the time. Too often we either ignore it or we turn the volume up on something else so that we don't hear that check in our heart anymore. Because we think, well, no. It's got to be God because we're in love. We're in love. But you and I need to recognize that there are warning signs that God gives us to get our attention. Because as I mentioned at the first of this series and been talking about, the problem is, if you introduce sex into a relationship before God intended for it to be, it causes your head to go in a direction it's not. You're after an experience and you stop. You will blow through warning signs like no tomorrow because you'll make excuses. You'll make your rationales and reasons why that's not true. But God is trying to get a hold of us. So today, listen to this scripture. Because Proverbs 27:12, Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, he wrote this for us. Listen, sensible people see trouble coming and avoid it. But unthinking people will walk right into it and regret it later. Let me say that again. Sensible people will see trouble coming and avoid it. But unthinking people will walk right into it and regret it later. Sensible people have eyes wide open. In other words, they're willing to have discussions. They're willing to ask questions. They're willing to even go there that are difficulties at times. Because why? Because we learn that trust is earned. You trust but verify. You can't just blindly go into the situation. It's important to ask the right questions, to look at the right things. Why? Because unthinking people have their eyes wide shut. That's where regrets come down. When we're not willing to look at the situations around, we're not willing to, sometimes we think that love means common sense goes out the window. And those are the things you wake up to later and regret. And so it's important because why unthinking people? Because people get into it and goes, what was I thinking? And that was the problem. We weren't thinking. We were chasing feelings. We were chasing emotions. Because it feels good. My heart fluttered. I felt all tingly, when they came around. That's got to be God. Not sure about that. And that's what you need to understand, because why? It's foolish. Foolish people say, we'll live on love. You know what? Don't worry about it. We'll get married and then everything will work out. I know they're not working right now, but after we get married, I'll encourage them. Are you kidding me? But yes. How often do we allow these? In fact, I love this. I brought this in because so often popular music can be a part of a generation understanding what my friend Jonathan Dubose, who's a musical artist, he said to me years ago, Pastor Ken, he said, great songs are what people relate to. They tell great stories. And great songwriters are great story writers. So I pulled stuff from different generations. Okay, when I grew up, this was a song very popular when I was a kid. It's called Scenes from an Italian Restaurant by Billy Joel. Billy Joel was a master storyteller, but I love this because he says this. It says, Brenda and Eddie were the popular steadies and the king and the queen at the prom, riding around with the car top down and the radio on. Nobody looked any finer, or nobody was more of a hit at the Parkway Diner. We never knew we could want more than that out of life. Surely Brenda and Eddie would always know how to survive. But Brenda and Eddie were still going steady at the summer of 75, while they decided that the marriage would be at the end of July. Everyone said they were crazy. Brenda, you know, you're much too lazy. Eddie could never afford to live that kind of life. But there we were, waving Brenda and Eddie goodbye. They got an apartment with deep piled carpets and a couple of paintings from Sears. A big water bed that they bought with the bread that they saved for a couple of years. They started to fight when the money got tight. And oh, they just didn't count on the tears. They lived for a while in a very nice style, but it's always the same in the end. They got a divorce as a matter of course, and they parted the closest of friends. The king and the queen went back to the green, but you can't go back there again. Well, how about this one? This one, I was like, when I was in college in the 80s, listen, this one, the beat was cool, but you know, the words. This is a song by Ace of Base called The Sign. This was actually good. Somebody saw it, but listen, I love the lyrics here. He says, shock, I got it, a new life. You would hardly recognize me, I'm so glad. How can a person like me care for you? Why do I bother when you're not the one for me? And is enough enough? I saw the sign and I opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. Life is demanding without understanding. I saw the sign and opened up my eyes. I saw the sign. No one's gonna drag you up to get you into the light where you belong. But where do you belong? See, nobody can drag you up and put you into the light. You gotta see the signs. Thank God they saw it. All right? But how about this one? This one's a popular one right now. Okay? Anybody know Mimi Webb? This song is in the top. Listen, this one. It's called Red Flags. When I listened to this song, you know, some of this stuff's in my playlist. Okay, but I listened to this song and I'm like, what is she saying? I looked up the word. I'm like, oh wow. Okay, this is a great illustration. Listen, this is modern day. Okay, this is a Gen Z person. All right, listen up. It's called Red Flags. Well, the first time we went out, you said you'd never settle down, without a doubt. Red flag. You said that your ex still comes around. I found things in your house. What's that about? Red flag. It don't take a genius. Yeah, I'll see it. Even my friends hate that I'm with you. Red flag. Listen, a million reasons should be leaving, but I need more hands to count than all the issues. But I keep running through these red flags. I blame myself because I know it's bad. But I keep running through these red flags. I see the signs, but I still come back. I keep on running through these red flags. And then she's honest enough to say why. Touch my body, I listen to nobody, and nobody can stop me. Remember I told you, when sex is involved, it blurs everything. And then she goes on to say, living with your parents. Okay, you said you'd never leave. That's a red flag. We go out to dinner and I'm paying the bill. That's a red flag. Are you kidding me? But I keep running through these red flags. Why? Well, Pastor Ken, she's so cute. She's hot. Pastor Ken, he's a hunk. Well, guess what? All that changes. That's not what you live on. Remember I told you in the first week, you are far more sexually compatible with people than you are relationally compatible. But strong relationships are built on relational compatibility. That's what we need to understand. That's what you need to gain the understanding of. So are you ready today, okay, for the 5 warning signs you're dating the wrong person? Y'all ready? Okay. You watching me online? You ready? Don't change this channel right now, okay? Listen up. Number 1. When they're not consistently pursuing Jesus. I think I'm going to say that one again. How do you know you're dating the wrong person? When the person you're dating is not consistently pursuing Jesus. But you say, I call you, but they're a Christian. I found them on a Christian dating app. I found them at church. But can I talk to you about American Christianity? Today, you can be a Christian, people call themselves Christian, and it means almost nothing. Okay? What does that mean? Do you know that term is only used 3 times in the Bible? And it was always used derogatorily. That was the world's depiction of the people in Antioch. Yeah, you can check it out for me. No, Jesus uses a far more dangerous word. One you should be asking. one you should be looking at. Jesus said, if you will be my, here's the word, disciple. I put it in these terms, apprentice. Okay? In other words, don't just talk the talk if you ain't walking the walk, because that can walk out of here. That's a left turn. That's no. I don't want to hear what you say. I want to see what you do. In other words, the person you're dating, do they have a devotional life? Are they truly a follower of Jesus? What's their prayer life about? What are they listening to? What's in their playlist? What are they reading? Do they read? Okay? What podcasts do they listen to? Are they a part of community? Are they involved in church? See, people talk the talk. Listen to me, if you're dating somebody and in the first, date or two, if they're not talking about Jesus, red flag. Why? Because people talk about what's most important to them. So if conversations are about cars, careers, clothes, sneakers, you name it. If it's about Xbox, PS5, whatever, then you answer, what is it that they find important? What's their values? See, we need to ask the question, what are their spiritual beliefs? What are their practices? Not what they say, what do they do? Okay? Are they committed? Are they a committed follower of Jesus? Because listen to me, if they're not committed before marriage, forget it after the altar. How many times have I dealt with that over the years? People, well, no, after we get married, they promise they'll start coming to church. I'm like, are you kidding me? You fell for that one? Are you, seriously, if someone's not doing it before they're married, good luck thinking they're ever going to do it after you're married. Because why? Can I dispel a myth? Missionary dating does not work. No, it don't. Because listen to what the scripture says. Listen to what the scripture says. 2 Corinthians 6:14 says this, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. Now, I know we don't use that term yoke too often, but what's a yoke? When two ox pull together. I wrote a marriage ceremony back in the 80s, okay? And I use this terminology because why? Two people that are together in a relationship should be able to accomplish more for Jesus together than they could ever do alone. But you know what happens? If you're yoked with somebody and they're wanting to go that way and you're wanting to go this way, pain. And that's some of the pain that people in this room may be experiencing. That's what I want some of us to avoid. Okay? Because listen, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what does righteousness and wickedness have in common? Usually how they look externally. Because you can't tell that on Instagram. You can't tell that when somebody's posting what they're posting. Okay? Or what fellowship has light with darkness? What harmony is there between Christ and Belial? That's another term for the devil, okay? Or what does a believer have in common with an unbeliever? But you say, but they're so cute. Man, Pastor Ken, but they don't all look like that. Yeah, but is that the one Jesus sent or is that the one the enemy sent? Because here's the point, guys. Everything can change. So let me answer this question. You're saying to me, is God limiting me? Unequivocally, yes. Why? Because he loves you. See, God knows that nobody can love you like Jesus if they don't love Jesus. And that's what you need to understand, because God wants so much more for you than that. See, the Bible tells us in Amos 3:3, can two walk together unless they are agreed? More than anything else, we need to know what their spiritual beliefs are. How do they treat their parents? Do they want to have children? Why do they want to have children? What kind of parent do they want to be? How do they handle money? Ooh. See, if the person you're dating says, well, that's none of your business, that needs to be bye-bye now. You need to give them the in sync. Bye. You know what I mean talking about? You need to be willing to go there to say what? Because God, listen to me. This is what God said about marriage. Two would become one. So if they have a private side, if they're not willing to share with you their values, their beliefs, how they do so, that is a huge red flag. That is a warning sign. In other words, listen to me. You need to check out, what are their priorities? See, giving matters. I counseled a couple years ago. I told this story before, but listen. As a woman said to me, called on the phone, says, listen, I need you to see you with my fiance. And she brought him in the office. She said, Pastor Ken, you need to talk to him because I'm not going to marry a man that doesn't tithe. Because I want my life to be blessed. I don't want to live under a curse. I want our marriage. I want our finances. I want our children. I want our home to be blessed. I'm like, whoa, this is exciting. Go, girl. Because why? People have to have an agreement reality on that end. So in other words, are they going to church? Are they serving in church? Are they a part of community? What kind of music do they listen to? What kind of friends do they have? Remember I told you, see their friends, see their future. Okay? So listen to me. Listen to me. If the person you're dating is not passionate about God, they will never be able to love you as God intended for them to love you. So if you haven't been paying attention, listen to me. If you're watching me online, this next point, I need everybody's undivided attention. This is worth the price of admission today. Listen. Don't give your heart to someone who God doesn't have theirs. Shall I say that again? Don't give your heart to someone that God doesn't have their heart first. Warning sign number 2. Are you ready? When those you love don't love the one you're dating. See, people that are not emotionally involved in a relationship have the best perspective about it. Okay? And so when we meet somebody, we get physically attracted. I mean, they're so cute. They're so much fun. My heart's fluttering. I feel all tingly. Oh, this feels good. And we're willing sometimes to chase a feeling. And the people that love us recognize, see, if the person you're dating, if your BFF says, what in the world are you with them for? If your second BFF is like, what are you doing? If your parents are like, that's not the person for you. If your brother, your sister are like, no. If your dog who loves everybody doesn't love who you're dating, that is a huge warning sign, okay? Because why? People that love you, listen to me, care about you. They don't want to see you fall hard. They don't want to see you get your heart broken. Okay, family and friends love you. Listen to this. Proverbs 27:9 says this, the heartfelt counsel of a friend is as sweet as perfume and incense. See, all of us need spiritually grounded people in our lives that we allow to speak into our lives, that we allow to help direct us. Why? Because too often we can be our own worst enemies. We follow feelings, because sometimes, here's the conflict that people feel. You're dating with somebody and they look so hot. They make you feel so good. And other people in your life are like, what the heck are you with them for? And well, you just don't understand. It's love. Love is complicated. No, let me tell you what. That's what we call love. I call it desire, because that's not what God calls love. Because too often, that's the problem, is we're blinded by what we call love when it truly is just desire. See, wisdom is willing to take advice, okay? Because when you're chasing feelings, you can allow common sense to depart out the window, okay? So in essence, people who love us can say, man, they pull you aside and say, they don't really honor you that much. They don't really treat you that well. They're a little controlling. They're a little demanding. They're a little self-centered. In fact, one of the things I encourage, if you're dating somebody and you haven't checked out their Instagram page or their Facebook or something like that, and if it's filled with all selfies, and that's a person that's self-centered and not other-centered. Sorry if that hurts. If you got your feet out in the aisle, don't yell at me if I'm stepping on your toes, because listen to me. What I want you to understand is, what are the things you should be looking for? What are the things that you should be seeing? Because people that love you enough, hopefully, to tell you what is right. Because listen to me, ladies, if you're dating a man that's controlling, get out now. And some of you need a restraining order. And if you think I'm kidding, I can sit you down with women who have been through it, okay? Listen to me. If you're in a situation like that, listen. That's the problem, again, when sex is involved, we allow our mind to go in a way it shouldn't go. No, we need to have our eyes wide open. We need to listen to the people in our lives who love us, because listen to this, Proverbs 12:15 says, the way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. You ready for number 3? Number 3, warning sign you're dating the wrong person. When you don't experience healthy conflict. You're like, well, Pastor Ken, we're in love. We never fight. Well, not yet. Because every couple fights. Okay? It's never if you fight. It's when you fight, is the conflict you enter into healthy? That's what I love what Lori shared before. When their first conflict came, then you really can tell what a person's character is about. Because we can go a long way deceiving somebody, putting our best foot forward, but there's more in the closet, there's more under the rug that we haven't revealed. And when you're in the midst, I tell people, if you want to know what's inside of somebody, just squeeze it. Because how do you know what's in a tube? You won't know often until you squeeze it. Because what comes out then, you're like, huh! And then we blame the other person. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. That was in you. Okay? They push my buttons. Well, that's your buttons. You understand what I'm saying by that? We want to blame somebody else when God is using. See, God uses healthy conflict to change us. God uses those things to expose things that we are of it. But listen to me. Healthy couples fight fair. But fighting fair is an art form. It doesn't come naturally to us. It's not something we learn on those ends. Because why? If your unhealthy conflict is when it's dirty. In other words, it's name calling. It's trying, listen to me. Unhealthy conflict is when you're fighting and all you care about is winning the argument. All you care about is being right. No, healthy conflict is willing to look at what is the true issue, to realize, listen to me, to realize that the person I'm arguing with is not my problem. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers. So healthy conflict is what's the problem, and it's always looking for a solution. It's always looking for a win-win scenario. How do we both come out of this a winner? Because listen to me, healthy conflict isn't a prize fight. It's not you trying to knock the other person out. It's not somebody coming out a winner. Because if somebody comes out a winner and the other person then is what? A loser. And the problem is this, not a healthy God-centered marriage, because two people should be looking to lift one another up. The willingness to always try to be right is selfish, it's self-centered, it's the flesh, and the truth is, God is always looking to give and to lift up and promote. So a healthy conflict looks for resolution. It means sometimes sacrificing my opinion, because it is often just an opinion. It looks for a way to make it right. Okay? And that's what's important. Because why? Everybody fights. When Kathy and I fight, it always ends up the same way. She always ends up on her hands and knees, yelling under the bed, "Come out from underneath there, you coward, and fight like a man." Because sometimes we fight about the dumbest stuff, okay? That's just a part of life. You can fight about how you drive. You can fight about what you spend. You can fight about a whole bunch of things. But listen to me, healthy situation is identifying the problem and seeking a resolution. It's being willing to sacrifice your opinion to find common ground. Why? Because that's Christ-like. That's what God wants us to do. You see, can I deal with this? Because some people are like, well, listen, okay, the way to solve it is just get married, then everything will be better. Are you kidding me? That's nuts. Or if you're married, I've heard this in marriages. People constantly have conflict. The solution, babe, we need to have a baby. Because once we have a baby, we'll never fight anymore. Are you kidding me? What we do often is throw gas on a fire. And that's the problem. We come up with nutty solutions. Listen. If you're married and you see red flags, listen to me. You need to deal with them right away so you can save your marriage. In other words, things that are left and you let it grows bigger and sometimes destroys. So this is to married people, not just dating people. If you see red flags, deal with it. Be honest about it. But you need to have healthy conflict. Listen to what James said. James 1:19 says, "Dear brothers and sisters, Take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. Slow to become angry. If you're dealing with someone that's a hothead, guess what? That heat only burns brighter after the altar. Because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. You ready for number 4? Warning sign number 4, when you find it difficult to trust the one you are with. Why? Because 1 Corinthians 13, about love, it says this. The love of God always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. See, if the person that you're dating, if they're unwilling to share their phone, if they're unwilling to share who's on their Facebook account, if they're unwilling to talk about aspects of their life, in other words, if they have a private life and you mention something and they deflect it, they ignore it, they try not to deal with it, then that is a huge warning sign. Because two people God designs to come together to be one. Okay? In other words, if you have suspicions about those things and you bring them up and they give you lame answers, that's a warning sign. But it doesn't mean that all of us deal with moments of insecurity. Okay? And you may deal with that. As Christians, we often think there's a spiritual gift of discernment. What I call that is the gift of suspicion, because the spiritual gift of discerning of spirits is the ability to see in the spirit, to see angels, to see demons, to see situations like Paul saw with a man from Macedonia saying, "Coming over here and see us." See, we have suspicions, and we try to sign the Holy Spirit onto it. Let me tell you what, that's a gift of suspicion, and that's not a biblical gift. Okay? And that's what sometimes we're struggling, okay? Because we're struggling with our insecurities. We deal with jealousy. We have problems. Again, if you're dating someone that's controlling, that's a warning sign. You need to get out while you can. Okay? Because it's dangerous. You need to back off. That is a red flag. But listen to me. Because if you're constantly worried that you can't trust the person that you're with, here's my question. Then why are you with them? That is a red flag. Okay? You need to unpack, why don't you trust them? Is there a solid reason? See, solid relationships are built on mutual trust. See, if the person you're dating is DMing people of the opposite sex, if they're Snapchatting with a former romance or ex that they once had, if they're still, listen to me, if they're still Facebook friends with people they were once romantically involved with, that is a huge red flag. And if you don't think I'm telling you the truth, I have seen the heartbreak right here in our church with people hooking up with somebody they once were with through Facebook, and the next thing you know, it's over. No, the heartache, hear me when I'm telling you. It's so important to listen. But sometimes, listen to me, sometimes you could be the problem. Why do I say that? Because you may have a problem trusting, maybe because of past situations, hurts that you've experienced. You're constantly suspicious. You're constantly looking into the situation. Well, that's a red flag either way. Because here's the thing, listen to me carefully. A relationship can never heal your heart. And as long as you're in it, you probably are preventing Jesus from healing your heart. Because you're looking for somebody else to make you feel better about yourself, when the only one that can heal your broken heart is Jesus. So I tell people all the time, maybe this is advice you don't want to hear, but sometimes you need to walk away from relationships until Jesus is able to heal your heart, because this is what he said about himself. The Spirit of the sovereign Lord is upon me, for he hath anointed me to preach the good news to the poor, to heal the brokenhearted. Jesus is the only one that can heal your heart, and your heart needs to be whole, because your relationship will only be as healthy as you are. So if you have trouble trusting, you may be the problem, not the person you're dating. Because you may be clingy, you may be needy, and you may suffocate the person you say you love. And that's an important part, because either way, they're red flags. Either way, they're red flags. So why would you stay with someone you don't trust? Are you ready for the last one? Are you ready? Here it is. Warning sign number 5 that you're dating the wrong person, when they are leading you away from Jesus instead of closer to Jesus. Now, you don't have to answer me right now, but be honest with yourself. And be honest with God right now. If you're dating someone, are you growing closer to Jesus? Or is your relationship with Jesus waning? In other words, is Jesus in the driver's seat of your car still, or you can't even find him in the rear view mirror? Because now you got a new BFF sitting next to you. You got a new one you're driving with. And Jesus ain't got no room in your life anymore. Because I've seen this all too often. Listen to me. People start dating, they stop going to church. People start dating, they drift away from community. They're no longer a part of group. They stop coming to Thursday nights, VYA community night. Okay? Why? Oh, we need to get to know each other, Pastor Ken. We need to spend more time together. Yeah, spending more time together, maybe starting a fire that you're not ready to put out yet. Well, listen to me. People start dating, they start compromising their values. What do I mean by that? They start compromising sexually. They start rationalizing sin together. They say, well, God understands. God knows we love each other. No, from God's point of view, he doesn't call that love. It got really quiet in this room. Hopefully some of you didn't click me off already. But listen to me. People say, why are you being so serious today? Come on, where's the Pastor Ken that's funny and loving and care? Listen, I love you all too much. I told you this is straight talk. Because listen to me, I was up at 5 this morning praying for you guys. And here, this may bother some of you. Some of you, like I told you last week, I've been praying that you need to stop sitting on the fence. Some of you need to go all in, okay? Buy a ring and put the finger on, put the ring on the finger, okay? I get it. But I was a bunch of you today. I'm praying for some folks, I'm not by name, okay? Not by name, that y'all need to break up. And you're like, well, Pastor Ken, that would hurt. It hurt a whole lot less now than a divorce will hurt. I've seen the horror. I've seen people not recover from that one, okay? And so listen to me. Sensible people see something coming and avoid it. Unthinking people. See, if you're too busy following feelings, then you're not thinking straight. If you've gotten sex in the midst of the relationship way too early, then sometimes you need outside perspective because you're not seeing things probably as you need to be seeing them. The warning signs are there. God is trying to get a hold of a bunch of you today, okay? Because listen to me, unthinking people walk into trouble and regret it later. Maybe some of you, like I said, need to break up. You can't marry the right person if you're dating the wrong one. But listen to Psalm 119, verse 115. It says this, "Get out of my life, you evil-minded people, for I intend to obey the commands of God." See, if you're dating somebody, they're not cheering you on to go further and faster with Jesus than you were on your own, then that's a warning sign. If you're dating somebody and they're not encouraging you to obey God and to do the will of God in your life, then you're dating the wrong person. You're heading for trouble. Bridge out ahead. See the warning sign on the road. See, because we have the battle between the head and the heart, where the head's like, get out now. But the heart's like, but I love them. But they make me feel so good. But you see, the signs are all there. I know it'll hurt, but sometimes a little bit of pain now is for a future of prosperity, of what God wants to prosper your life in the right setting. Because listen to me, I love you too much. That's why I'm being so straight with you today. In other words, listen to me. The flip side of the coin is when you find the right person and they make you go closer to Jesus, not away from him. When you find someone that you have healthy conflict with, that the people that you love the person that you're with. When you're in a situation where the people around you are like, yes, don't you see this? I mean, look at, Lori had to say, our friend was like, yeah, dude, you like her, she likes you. Ding, 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 ding. Aren't you getting this? This is right, walk in it. In other words, guys, listen to me. When you get it right, there's nothing that can match it. So listen, let me end with this. Don't settle for less. Love yourself more than that. Believe what God has for you is so much better than often what we're willing to settle for. God is faithful. Marriage is a covenant. It's based on mutual commitment. It is special. That's what I want for you. As I told you, the goals in this series is if you're single, that you would honor God with your singlehood. If you're dating, that your dating relationship would honor God. If you're married, that your marriage would honor God. Because I want you to experience Christ-centered relationship, because there is nothing like it. When you build it on Christ, no matter what storms, no matter what winds, no matter what challenges the devil brings your way, when the storm passes, you will remain standing if you build your relationship on Jesus.